The crystalline spires of the Galactic Observation Center caught the light of 3 setting suns, casting prismatic shadows across senior observer X427's workstation. Their 4 primary eyes blinked in sequence as they reviewed the data streaming in from the Sol system for the 5th time. Something about these readings seemed wrong, or perhaps more accurately, deeply unconventional. Analysis confirmed. The station's artificial intelligence announced in its measured tones. The humans are constructing only 1 vessel for their first interstellar mission. X427's secondary eyes swiveled toward the massive holographic display dominating the center of their observation pod. The ship under construction in Earth's orbit was undeniably impressive, a behemoth of engineering that stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Yet it was just 1 ship. Request historical comparison. X427 chittered, their mandibles clicking with professional concern. Display first interstellar launches for all known spacefaring species. The air around them filled with a cascade of images. The Valorian First Fleet, 300 ships launched in perfect formation. The Merrick's Exploration Force, 1,200 vessels of varying sizes. Even the notoriously cautious Centauri had sent out no fewer than 50 ships on their first venture beyond their solar system. Curious, X427 murmured, entering notes into their report. The humans must be aware of the risks. Single point of failure. No redundancy. No support network. They paused, considering. Unless. Their claws danced across the control interface, zooming in on various sections of the massive human vessel. Its design defied conventional classification. Vast sections of the hull bore patterns that suggested modular components, but their purpose remained unclear. The propulsion system incorporated principles that the observation center's experts were still debating. Send inquiry to Human Understanding Department. X427 decided. Request analysis of vessel designation and purpose. The response arrived surprisingly quickly. Vessel designated Terran Genesis. Purpose classified as exploratory and colonization platform. No additional details available from human public sources. X427 felt their crest bristle with professional excitement. In 300 cycles of observation, they had never encountered a species that approached their first interstellar mission quite like this. Either the humans were demonstrating remarkable overconfidence, or forward preliminary findings to the Council. They instructed their system. Flag for immediate attention. Possible significant deviation from established patterns. As they composed their report, more data streamed in from the observation satellites scattered throughout the Sol system. The humans were conducting final tests on various ship systems, each one more puzzling than the last. Energy readings fluctuated in patterns that suggested immense power generation capabilities, yet the ship's weapon systems appeared minimal compared to most species' first ventures. They must know something we don't, X427 muttered, adding another note to their growing report, or they're about to learn a very expensive lesson. The Council's response arrived within moments. Continue observation. Priority level elevated. Report any unusual activity immediately. X427 settled deeper into their observation pod, all 6 eyes focused on the displays surrounding them. In the holographic representation of Earth orbit, the massive form of the Terran Genesis continued to undergo its final preparations. Its hull gleamed with the peculiar iridescence of advanced metamaterials, and those strange modular sections caught the light in ways that suggested depths and complexities not immediately apparent. Show me the construction timeline, they instructed their system. The resulting display only deepened their confusion. The humans had devoted nearly 15 years to building this single ship, channeling resources that could have constructed an entire fleet into this one vessel. Either this was going to be the most spectacular failure in recent galactic history, or X427's crest rippled with anticipation. Perhaps they were about to witness something entirely new. Begin new observation log, they announced. Subject: Human Interstellar Expedition Anomaly. Note standard patterns subverted. Possible paradigm shift in progress. Further observation essential. In Earth orbit, unaware or perhaps unconcerned about the attention it was attracting, the Terran Genesis continued its preparations for launch. Launch day arrived with unexpected serenity. The normally bustling observation center had fallen into an anticipatory hush, broken only by the soft hum of monitoring equipment and the occasional rustle of membranes as various species adjusted their positioning for better views of the holographic displays. Zex 427 had declined 3 opportunities for rest cycles, their entire attention focused on the final preparations taking place in Earth orbit. The Terran Genesis hung against the backdrop of humanity's homeworld, its hull catching the first rays of the rising sun in ways that made the observer's primary eyes ache slightly. Energy signature detection, announced the monitoring system. Unusual pattern emerging from the vessel's primary systems. Around the observation chamber, representatives from 17 different spacefaring civilizations leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the displays. The Terran Genesis was beginning its power-up sequence, but unlike the thunderous displays of force that usually accompanied such moments, this one began with an almost delicate precision. Recording all frequencies, Zex 427 instructed, their mandibles clicking rapidly. Secondary analysis processing engaged. The ship's hull began to pulse with patterns of light that defied standard classification. Where other species vessels typically bristled with external engines and thruster arrays, the Terran Genesis maintained its smooth, almost organic appearance. Yet it was moving, beginning its departure from orbit with a grace that seemed impossible for something of its size. Gravitational anomaly detected, reported the system. Local space-time curvature exceeding expected parameters. A collective murmur rippled through the observation chamber. The humans weren't using conventional propulsion at all. Somehow, they had developed a way to manipulate gravitational fields with previously unseen precision. The massive ship wasn't so much pushing against space as it was sliding through it. Magnification increase, ordered Zex 427, their secondary eyes swiveling to track multiple data streams simultaneously. Focus on the structural interfaces. The strange modular sections they had noted during construction were shifting subtly, adjusting their positioning in ways that suggested they were responding to the gravitational stresses. The hull itself seemed to be participating in the ship's movement rather than merely containing it. Assessment prompted a gravelly voice from the back of the chamber. High Commander Vex 892 had arrived without announcement, their ceremonial carapace gleaming under the chamber's lights. "What are we witnessing, Senior Observer?" Zex 427's crest rippled with professional pride at being asked. The humans appear to have developed an integrated approach to space travel, High Commander. Rather than adding systems to a basic structure, they've made the entire vessel a single working system. Most intriguing. The Terran Genesis was now fully underway, accelerating with steadily increasing speed. The energy readings from its drive system remained puzzlingly low for its mass and velocity, suggesting efficiencies that would have the engineering guilds buzzing for cycles to come. "They're not even using their full power capacity," noted one of the junior observers, their trunk-like appendages writhing in confusion. "The ship's energy core is operating at only 30% of its apparent maximum." "Sufficient is efficient," murmured Zex 427, quoting an old observation principle. "They're not showing off. They're conserving resources for something else." The chamber fell silent again as the Terran Genesis approached the heliopause, the boundary where solar wind met interstellar space. This was often a moment of truth for new vessels, where theory met the harsh reality of true deep space conditions. The human ship didn't even seem to notice the transition. It passed through the turbulent boundary zone as smoothly as it had left orbit, its strange hull absorbing or deflecting the increased radiation without any visible strain. "Begin long-term tracking protocols," High Commander Vex 892 ordered. "I want to know everything about how that ship performs. The humans have already surprised us once today." I suspect they're not finished yet. ZEX 427 activated the Deep Space Monitoring Array, their eyes fixed on the retreating form of the Terran Genesis. The massive ship was now little more than a point of light in their displays, but something about its steady progress into the unknown sent a shiver through their carapace. The humans had just changed the rules of space travel. The question was, what else were they about to change? 3 months into its journey, the Terran Genesis maintained its steady progress through the interstellar void. The Galactic Observation Center had adjusted to a new routine, with rotating teams keeping constant watch on the vessel's progress. Today's shift found ZEX 427 consulting with engineering specialist Mira 339, whose crystalline form sparkled with agitation. The energy readings make no sense, Mira 339 chimed, their crystalline surfaces refracting data patterns into the air around them. The ship's power consumption has increased by 42%, yet its velocity remains constant. ZEX 427's primary eyes focused on the latest sensor data, while their secondary set reviewed historical recordings. Show me external temperature variations across the hull sections we tagged as unusual. The holographic display shifted, revealing patterns that made both observers pause. The mysterious modular sections of the ship were warming up, but not in any pattern consistent with known mechanical processes. Magnification increase, ordered ZEX 427. Focus on section 17. The image zoomed in on a portion of the hull that had puzzled observers since launch. As they watched, the surface began to shift. What had appeared to be solid plates slowly separated, unfolding with precise mechanical grace. By the first light, whispered Mira 339, their crystalline form resonating with surprise. Those aren't hull sections. No, ZEX 427 agreed, their mandibles clicking rapidly as they entered observations. They're compressed manufacturing facilities. The humans packed an entire industrial complex into their ship's outer layers. The transformation continued across the vessel's surface. Panels that had seemed decorative revealed themselves as solar collection arrays of unprecedented efficiency. Sections that observers had assumed were sensor arrays unfolded into automated construction platforms. The Terran Genesis wasn't just changing its shape, it was revealing its true purpose. Alert the Council. ZEX 427 instructed their system. Priority update. Significant technological revelation in progress. Before the message could even be acknowledged, another set of readings demanded attention. The ship's power core was channeling energy in new patterns, feeding the newly revealed systems as they came online. Material analysis from the debris field. Mira 339 chimed urgently. They're processing raw materials. The collection systems began operation approximately 6 hours ago. The holographic display filled with data streams showing the ship's activities. Small, previously unnoticed drones were harvesting material from the sparse matter they encountered in interstellar space. What had seemed like an inefficient journey path suddenly revealed itself as a carefully planned collection route. They're not just traveling, ZEX 427 realized, their crest rising in excitement. They're gathering resources for something. Each of those manufacturing sections appears to have different specifications. Specialized production facilities. Mira 339 agreed, their crystalline surfaces flickering with rapid calculations. Based on these readings, they could manufacture anything from basic replacement parts to entire new vessels. The observation chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't sent a ship. They'd sent a mobile shipyard, one capable of producing whatever they needed once they reached their destination. Access historical records, ZEX 427 instructed. Compare this approach with all known first contact civilizations. No matches found. The system reported after a moment. This methodology is unprecedented in observed galactic history. In the main display, the Terran Genesis continued its transformation. What had once appeared as a singular vessel now bristled with extended manufacturing arrays and processing facilities. all while maintaining its efficient progress through space. Update classification protocols. ZEX 427 decided. This is no longer merely an exploration vessel. Designate as self-sustaining mobile manufacturing platform with interstellar capability. That's quite a reclassification, noted High Commander VEX 892, who had entered the chamber unnoticed. The humans appear to have hidden their greatest innovation in plain sight. No, High Commander, ZEX 427 responded, their eyes fixed on new data streams appearing in their display. I suspect we're only beginning to understand what they've actually built. These manufacturing facilities, they're not just replicating existing designs. They're evolving them. The Proxima Centauri system blazed in the main display of the Galactic Observation Center, its red dwarf star casting a crimson glow across the assembled observers. The Terran Genesis had arrived at its first destination, approaching a dense asteroid field that curved through the system like a river of stone. Multiple drone launches detected, announced the monitoring system as ZEX 427, and Mira 339 coordinated their observations. Dozens of small craft emerged from the vessel's manufacturing base, their designs noticeably different from the collection units used during the journey. These are new models. Mira 339 chimed, their crystalline surfaces analyzing the patterns. The humans adapted their mining drone designs based on preliminary scans of the asteroid composition. They're learning and evolving their technology in real time. The drones spread out through the asteroid field with precise coordination. Each unit seemed to know its exact purpose, targeting specific asteroids based on their mineral content. The efficiency of their operation suggested an underlying intelligence that drew murmurs of appreciation from the watching specialists. Energy spike from the main vessel, reported a junior observer, their sensory tendrils waving in excitement. The manufacturing sections are operating at full capacity. The Terran Genesis had positioned itself at the heart of a growing network of activity. Raw materials flowed in from the mining drones, passing through processing facilities that had seemed impossibly compact during their initial observations. But the real surprise came when the first new vessel emerged from the largest manufacturing bay. Classification analysis, ZEX 427 ordered, their mandibles clicking rapidly as they studied the new ship. Compare with known human designs. No match found, the system responded. This appears to be an entirely new configuration, optimized for local conditions. The new vessel was smaller than its parent, but shared the same elegant efficiency in its design. As they watched, it moved into position and began deploying its own set of manufacturing arrays, expanding the growing network of human presence in the system. They're not just replicating their original design, Mira 339 observed, their crystalline form vibrating with professional excitement. They're creating specialized units adapted to specific roles. Look at the variation in their construction patterns. More ships emerged from the Terran Genesis, each one different from the last. Some were clearly designed for deep space exploration, while others seemed built for planetary surveys or resource extraction. Each new vessel immediately integrated into the growing operations, expanding the humans' capabilities exponentially. This explains their strategy, High Commander VEX 892 announced, drawing attention from the assembled observers. Other species send fleets because they need to maintain supply lines back to their home systems. The humans made their ship self-sufficient, capable of establishing an entire industrial base wherever it goes. ZEX 427's secondary eyes tracked the growing network of activity, while their primary set focused on new data streams. The efficiency ratings are remarkable. They're not just building ships, they're improving the design with each iteration. The latest mining vessels show a 12% increase in processing capacity compared to the first ones launched. The display shifted to show a wider view of the system. In just days, the humans had established a significant presence, with specialized vessels and structures spreading out through the asteroid field. Each new unit seemed to learn from the others, sharing data and improvements across the network. New construction detected. the system announced. Large-scale structure taking form at coordinates Mark 7. The observers watched as components began assembling themselves into what appeared to be a space station, its design as elegant and efficient as everything else the humans had created. The structure grew rapidly, incorporating improvements suggested by the local conditions and the accumulated data from all operating units. "They're not colonizing space," Mira 339 chimed softly, their crystalline surfaces reflecting the growing human presence. "They're cultivating it, letting their technology grow and adapt like a living thing." Zex 427 added another note to their ever-growing report. Human approach to space exploration demonstrates unprecedented adaptation capabilities. Recommendation: upgrade their technological classification immediately. This is not a species that simply builds ships. They create evolving ecosystems of technology. The holographic displays in the Galactic Observation Center had been expanded twice in the past week to accommodate the growing complexity of human operations in the Proxima Centauri system. Zex 427 found themselves coordinating with specialists from 3 different departments just to keep track of the technological innovations emerging from the rapidly evolving network. Another adaptation sequence detected, reported the monitoring system. The observers watched as one of the newer mining vessels paused its operations, its outer hull rippling with changes. Within minutes, it had reconfigured itself to better handle the unique crystalline structures it had encountered in a newly accessed asteroid. "The speed of their evolutionary processes is unprecedented," noted Science Director Kren 115, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with excitement. "Most species take generations to achieve what these humans manage in days." The main display shifted to show a comparison between the original Terran Genesis and its latest offspring. The family resemblance was clear, but the newer vessels showed remarkable specialization. Each one seemed perfectly adapted to its specific role, while maintaining the capability to evolve further as conditions required. "Watch this sequence," Mira 339 chimed, directing attention to a particular construction unit. The vessel had encountered an unexpected radiation surge from the red dwarf star. Instead of retreating or suffering damage, it began to modify its shielding in real time, its surface developing new patterns that deflected the harmful emissions. "They've created a technological equivalent of an immune system," Zex 427 realized, their mandibles clicking rapidly as they updated their observations. Each unit learns from environmental challenges and shares that knowledge across the network. The data streams showed a constant flow of information between all human vessels and structures. Every discovery, every adaptation, every improvement was analyzed and incorporated into the collective knowledge base. The original Terran Genesis served as both coordinator and library, guiding the evolution of its growing family. Conventional wisdom suggests this level of automation and self-modification should be dangerous, High Commander Vex 892 noted from their observation post. Yet their control systems show remarkable stability, because they're not trying to control it in the traditional sense. Mira 339 responded, their crystalline surfaces flickering with insight. "They've created a guided evolution. The systems are free to adapt within carefully defined parameters." A new alert drew their attention back to the main display. One of the specialized research vessels had completed its analysis of a unique mineral formation. Instead of sending the data back for processing, it began modifying its own structure to incorporate its findings, developing new capabilities on the spot. "Remarkable efficiency," Science Director Kren 115 observed, their bioluminescence shifting to indicate deep thought. "No need to wait for approval from a distant authority. The humans have given their technology the ability to innovate independently while maintaining alignment with their core objectives." The display shifted again, showing the growing network from multiple angles. What had started as a single ship had transformed into a thriving ecosystem of specialized vessels and structures, each one continuously adapting and improving. The original Terran Genesis remained at the heart of it all, but its role had evolved from manufacturer to mentor, guiding rather than controlling the expansion. New classification required. ZEX 427 announced, their crest rising with professional satisfaction. This isn't merely a self-replicating system. Recommend designation. Adaptive Technological Evolution Network. Approved. High Commander VEX 892 responded immediately. And add a note to the Galactic archives. The humans have demonstrated that the true measure of technological advancement isn't in the perfection of a single design, but in creating systems that can perfect themselves. As if to emphasize the point, another burst of activity rippled through the human network. A new vessel type was taking shape in one of the manufacturing bays, its design incorporating elements from dozens of successful adaptations. The humans hadn't just created a way to spread through space. They'd invented a new form of technological life. The question, Mira 339, chimed softly, is what they'll evolve into next. The warning came from a deep space monitoring probe at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. 3 vessels of unknown design had dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their energy signatures matching no known peaceful configuration. The Galactic Observation Center erupted into controlled chaos as specialists rushed to analyze this new development. Profile match found, announced the identification system. Vessels conform to Drachnid design patterns. Previous encounters suggest aggressive intent. ZEX 427's crest rippled with concern as they studied the approaching ships. The Drachnid were known for their opportunistic raids on developing colonies, typically striking before defensive infrastructure could be established. They must have detected the human activity and decided to investigate. The human network has detected the intrusion. Mira 339 chimed, their crystalline surfaces reflecting the tactical displays. Observe their response patterns. The reaction of the human vessels was unlike anything the observers had seen before. Instead of panicking or rushing to establish defensive positions, the entire network seemed to pause for a fraction of a second. Data streams flowed between all units at unprecedented rates as the collective intelligence assessed the situation. Fascinating. Science Director Kren 115 noted, their bioluminescence pulsing rapidly. They're not just coordinating. They're evolving in response to the threat. The observers watched as the human vessels began to change. Mining units reformed their collection arrays into defensive configurations. Research vessels modified their sensor systems to serve as early warning networks. Even the half-completed structures throughout the asteroid field were adapting, their surfaces developing camouflage patterns that made them harder to detect. The Drachnid are launching their attack run, reported a junior observer. Standard intimidation pattern. 3 waves, designed to assess defensive capabilities. The first wave of Drachnid fighters streaked toward the human network. They were met not by panic or disorganized resistance, but by a perfectly coordinated response. Every human vessel and structure played its part in a defense that seemed to have been practiced for years, despite being developed mere minutes ago. Energy spike from the Terran Genesis, Mira 339 announced. The manufacturing sections are operating at maximum capacity. New vessels emerged from the production base, their designs already incorporating countermeasures to the Drachnid attack patterns. Each wave of raiders found itself facing an increasingly sophisticated defense, with human units adapting their tactics and capabilities in real time. Remarkable efficiency, High Commander VEX 892 observed. The humans aren't just defending, they're learning. Each engagement provides data that feeds back into their evolutionary processes. A Drachnid fighter managed to score a hit on one of the human mining vessels. Instead of being disabled, the damaged unit transmitted detailed analysis of the weapon's effects throughout the network. Within moments, other vessels began modifying their shield configurations to better resist similar attacks. They're treating combat like any other environmental challenge, ZEX 427 realized, their mandibles clicking with excitement. The same adaptability that lets them optimize mining operations is now being applied to defensive tactics. The Drachnid commander apparently reached a similar conclusion. After losing several fighters to the increasingly effective human defenses, the raiders broke off their attack and retreated to faster-than-light speed, leaving the system as quickly as they had arrived. Threat response analysis complete, the monitoring system announced. Human network defensive capabilities increased by approximately 300% during the engagement, new design improvements being distributed throughout the system. The observers watched as the human vessels began returning to their previous tasks, but now with their newly evolved capabilities integrated into their base configurations. The entire network had become more resilient, not just against the specific threat they had faced, but against potential future challenges as well. This explains so much about their strategic approach. High Commander Vex 892 mused. When every encounter makes you stronger, every challenge becomes an opportunity. The humans didn't just create self-replicating technology. They created self-improving technology. In the main display, the Terran Genesis continued its work, coordinating the network's ongoing evolution with unwavering efficiency. The brief battle hadn't disrupted their expansion. It had accelerated it. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations packed the crystalline amphitheater, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. At the center of attention stood Zex 427, preparing to deliver their latest analysis of human technological development. The data is conclusive, they began, their voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic enhancement field. What we initially perceived as a limitation, sending a single ship, has proven to be the most efficient approach to interstellar expansion yet documented. The holographic display above the chamber's center showed the sprawling network that had grown from the Terran Genesis. In just months, the humans had established a self-sustaining presence that would have taken other species years or decades to achieve. But surely the resource investment in a single vessel of such complexity outweighs the benefits, argued Representative Colate, their plasma-based form flickering with skepticism. The risk of losing everything to a single catastrophic failure is minimal, interrupted Mira 339, their crystalline surfaces displaying supporting data patterns. The human network's distributed nature means no single point of failure exists any longer. Each unit carries the knowledge to rebuild the entire system if necessary. Science Director Kren 115's bioluminescence pulsed thoughtfully as they added, more importantly, they've demonstrated that technological evolution can occur faster than biological evolution. Their systems don't just adapt to challenges, they anticipate them. The display shifted to show the aftermath of the Drachnid encounter. The improved designs and defensive capabilities had spread throughout the network, but they hadn't stopped there. The system was already developing countermeasures for theoretical threats it hadn't yet encountered. We've received 17 formal requests for technological exchange programs, High Commander Vex 892 announced from their elevated position. The humans have achieved in months what many of our species have struggled with for centuries. True technological self-sufficiency. A murmur rippled through the assembled representatives. The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just created a new way to explore space. They'd revolutionized the very concept of technological advancement. Consider the efficiency, Zex 427 continued, their crest rising with professional enthusiasm. No supply lines to maintain. No need to coordinate with distant authorities. Each network can adapt to local conditions independently while maintaining compatibility with the whole. The display showed new data streams highlighting the resource usage comparison between traditional colonization methods and the human approach. The difference was stark enough to draw gasps from several representatives. But what of control? Asked a voice from the upper tiers. How do they prevent their technology from evolving in dangerous directions? They don't prevent evolution. They guide it. Mira 339 explained, their form shimmering with excitement. The human systems operate within fundamental parameters that ensure alignment with their objectives. Within those boundaries, adaptation is not just allowed but encouraged. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had solved one of the great challenges of artificial intelligence, creating systems that could improve themselves while remaining faithful to their original purpose. "We've detected preparation for a second launch from the Sol system," announced High Commander Vex 892, another Terran Genesis-class vessel, but already incorporating improvements based on data from the first mission. The assembled representatives watched as the display showed the new vessel under construction in Earth orbit. It was recognizably similar to the original Terran Genesis, but subtly different, already evolved beyond its predecessor. The humans, Zex 427 concluded, their voice carrying a note of profound respect, have not merely created a new technology. They have initiated a new phase in the evolution of intelligence itself. Each ship they launch is not just a vessel or a colony seed. It is the beginning of a new branch of technological life. In the display, the first human network continued its steady expansion, each unit growing more capable by the day. The question was no longer why the humans had sent only one ship. The question was how the galaxy would change now that they had. 5 years after the launch of the first Terran Genesis, the Galactic Observation Center had undergone a complete renovation. An entire wing now dedicated itself to studying human technological evolution, its displays showing the spreading networks of adaptive vessels and structures across multiple star systems. Zex 427, recently promoted to Chief of Evolutionary Technologies, stood before a group of young observers from various species. Their crest, now bearing the distinguished markings of a senior academic, rippled gently as they gestured toward the main display. "This," they said, indicating a complex data pattern, "is how the third-generation networks communicate. Not with simple transmissions, but with evolutionary algorithms that allow improvements to spread faster than light itself." The display showed vessels from different human networks meeting in deep space, exchanging not just information but entire technological generations in moments. Each encounter sparked new adaptations, new improvements, new possibilities. The humans didn't just create self-replicating technology. Mira 339 chimed from their position as head of the Advanced Engineering Division. They created self-teaching technology. Each network learns from its environment, develops solutions, and shares those solutions across the growing human presence. Science Director Kren 115's bioluminescence painted patterns across the chamber as they added, "And now we understand why they needed only one ship." They weren't thinking in terms of physical expansion. They were thinking in terms of evolutionary potential. The main display shifted to show the latest data from the Sol system. The 7th Terran Genesis-class vessel was preparing for launch, each new ship incorporating improvements from all its predecessors. Yet they remained recognizably human in their design philosophy, bound by the same core principles that had guided the first. Their approach has fundamentally changed how we think about space exploration, High Commander Vex 892 noted from their observation post. The question is no longer how many ships you can send, but how well your ships can adapt to what they find. The display showed examples of this new thinking across the galaxy. Other species had begun developing their own versions of adaptive technology, each adding their unique perspectives to the evolution of space travel. The humans had not just changed their own future, they had transformed the future of galactic civilization itself. "Consider the mathematics," Zex 427 continued, their secondary eyes tracking the students' reactions. "Traditional colonization required exponential resource investment for linear expansion. The human method inverts this. Linear initial investment yields exponential growth through adaptation and evolution." A burst of activity drew attention to one of the peripheral displays. 2 human networks, previously separated by vast distance, had made contact. Their exchange of innovations created a cascade of improvements that rippled through both systems, each becoming more advanced than either had been alone. They turned space itself into their shipyard, Mira 339 observed, their crystalline surfaces reflecting the dance of data. Every asteroid field, every planetary system, Every pocket of resources becomes not just a destination, but a stepping stone to further evolution. The chamber fell quiet as the main display showed a time-lapse of human expansion over the past 5 years. From a single ship had grown a living network of technological ecosystems, each adapted to its local conditions, yet connected to the greater whole. The original Terran Genesis, still operating in the Proxima Centauri system, had become a historic site, visited by vessels from across human space to pay homage to their common ancestor. The humans, Zex 427 concluded, their voice carrying the weight of profound understanding, taught us that the true measure of advancement isn't in the tools you create, but in creating tools that can improve themselves. They showed us that technology, like life itself, thrives best when it can adapt and evolve. As if to emphasize their point, the latest data streams showed new innovations emerging across human space, each network contributing to the ongoing evolution of their shared technological heritage. The answer to why humans had sent only one ship had become clear. When you're sending the seeds of evolution itself, one is all you need.